Welcome to the Plant Trainers Podcast, where we're helping people improve their quality of life through nutrition and fitness. And now, your hosts, nutrition and wellness coaches, international speakers, Adam and Shoshana Chaim.
Hey, I'm Adam Chaim.
And I'm Shoshana Chaim, and we are Propelled by Plants.
Today we bring to you episode 203, Searching for Sero with John Rathwell and Tracy Guenard.
In today's episode of the Plant Trainers Podcast, we talked to John Rathwell and Tracy Guenard about their project Searching for Sero. Obviously, we asked the questions that everyone wants to know. What is Sero, and how do you manage to live in a van? But we do get deeper when we discuss what really ignited the fire for John and Tracy to hop in Westfalia and tour Canada and the US. They both lost loved ones, which inspired this project with the ultimate goal of funding suicide prevention and helping others find passion and excitement in green exercise. Searching for Sero is a unique approach, looking for people who are happy in the outdoors and who are encouraging others to find their passion and create more Sero.
John Rathwell is an internationally published and acclaimed action sports photographer. He's been commissioned by such clients as Red Bull, Outside Magazine, the Enthusiast Network over the last several years, just to name a few. John's motivation for this project came after his father passed away in 2014 from suicide. His father focused his life on working long hours, overtime, and any shift he could take. John watched his father's lifestyle as he grew up and could see that life needed to be more balanced. Throughout the project, John is hoping to motivate people to put a little more focus on outdoor adventure and hobbies that bring happiness to their lives by sharing the stories and photographs of how others live theirs. Tracy Guenard is a traditional 9-to-5 worker. She has years of experience working in the fields of criminology and youth intervention, as well as business organizational analysis. People's life choices and behaviors have always intrigued her. Tracy's interest in searching for Sero comes from the desire to dig in and understand the human being and the choices they make. She hopes to grasp these people's relationship to happiness and how they can play an active role in their mental wellness.
The new cookbook is finally done. We created a cookbook that's perfect for any home, whether you're one person or a large family. Our beef or tofu with cookbooks is that you always want to make all the recipes in the book, and then you're left over with 1,000 ingredients and you don't know what to do with them. And also, recipes can be really, really difficult and take over an hour just for the main course. But this book is different. It's divided by ingredients, which allows you to A, batch cook and save time. Many recipes are made in under just 15 minutes. And B, plan your weekly meals based on ingredients, which saves you money. So head over to planttrainers.com or click on the link in the show notes and get your easy recipes for busy parents cookbook today. It's so simple, even your kids can make the meals. And did I mention that some of the recipes can be made in under 15 minutes?
And now for a moment of gratitude.
Today I'm grateful for the ability to get out and walk. I'm grateful for my 2 legs that brought me there. I'm grateful for the time that I chose to spend walking, but I'm also grateful for what I noticed because I made a very conscious effort to look around while I was walking today and look at the color of the leaves on the trees, the color of the grass, the color of the flowers, and the sounds that I heard around me. It was a very mindful walk, and I'm just grateful for that.
I'm just grateful for my body to be able to do the great things that it does. And I got outside yesterday, long run, felt great just to be outside getting the fresh air, and I just love it.
John and Tracy, thank you so much for being on the Plant Trainers Podcast today.
Thanks for having us. It's amazing.
Before we begin, we wanted to know if you have a moment of gratitude to share.
I do. I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to talk with you today and share our thoughts on life and on searching for Sero.
Yeah, and I'm very thankful for all our followers that have got on board and followed the project and support what we have done. And I'm very, very thankful for everyone that's stuck out through the break and the financial troubles we just had. So I'm looking forward to getting back on the road and creating content for all those followers.
So we came across you. I don't even know where we saw what you guys are doing, but it's super cool. Like, this is a really, really cool thing, and it has a lot of depth and meaning to it. And your journey is called Searching for Sero. So why don't you tell us and our listeners exactly what's going on?
So Searching for Sero is a photo project that we decided to start a little over 2 years ago now. John and I both, in a very short period of time, lost each family member to suicide. And for us, it was a life-changing moment that kind of forced us to rethink our lives and what we wanted to do with it. And it made us realize how important being outdoors and being active and playing was important in our lives, and how it had an impact in our grieving and how we could appreciate life. Therefore, we wanted to make sure that we were able to share this idea with people that being active and being outdoors is so good for your mental wellness. So basically, it's the idea behind the project. For the past year now, we've been mostly on the road, and we meet people and interview people and share stories of those who use outdoor adventure as a means to find happiness, and share those stories in hope to inspire other people to do the same.
And Sero is short for serotonin.
Exactly. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter that's believed to contribute to the feeling of happiness. So it's commonly referred to being the happy hormone. It's something that's produced in your body and has a variety of function, but one of them is regulating your mood and your sleep habit and your eating habits and things like that. And it's a contributing factor to a good mental health. So usually lack of serotonin would be related to depression, anxiety, and mental illnesses.
So on the Plant Trainers podcast, we are helping to improve people's quality of life through nutrition and fitness. And we take a very strong stand on nutrition, but also fitness has also been really important to us. And we talk about it a lot, how especially when people are dealing with poor mental health or mental illness, how important it is to be moving, to be outside, to be in nature, to look at your surroundings and not just be within the four walls. So, this is really reiterating what we've said so many times, but you're taking it to such a great level here.
Yes, for us, it's a central part of our project. And what's really interesting with serotonin is that both the physical part and the nutrition is very related. Serotonin, we link it very much to the psychological level. However, the place in which serotonin is mostly used and produced and found in the body is the gut. And it's through what we eat that it's actually really important in our production and levels of serotonin. But production is greatly increased by being active and being in nature. And there's this thing that's called green exercise. And the theory behind it is that exercising in the outdoors, in nature, increases the positive impact that activity has on your serotonin level and on your positive behavior and attitudes.
And these people that you're interviewing, they're just not people who like to sit outside in their garden or go for walks. You're looking for extreme sports, right?
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be extreme sports. That's I guess that's a bit of my passion. So there's a lot of that through the project. But it's any outdoor adventure, anything that is outside and a little bit sporty. We've covered things from yoga and hiking and canoe tripping, as well as extreme sports like skateboarding and skiing and whitewater kayaking.
And some surfing, I think. I see a lot of your surfing pictures. I don't know if those are your personal pictures or your searching for Sero pictures, but it seems like you like it by the water.
I actually have a pretty deep connection to the water, and I think that does come through in the project and in my photography. When we're looking for a spot to camp in the van, if we can be near some sort of body of water, whether it's the ocean, a lake, a river, or a pond, that's where I'm going to go. I'm just drawn to the water.
So yesterday I was going out for a run, and I didn't really know how far I was going to go, and I think your video on your website influenced me to keep going, because I ended up running for over 2 hours. I covered about 27 kilometers, and I just felt like running. My legs just wanted to go, and my brain just let myself go that distance, and it just really felt good. It was a beautiful day. I got out in the trails. I got out on the roads. It's just amazing how the being outside and that exercise just really clears your mind and makes a difference in your day. So it's awesome that you're inspiring people and getting stories like those, because I really do think they're making a difference. And I guess the question is, How did you decide that you wanted to just get into a van and go cross country for a couple years and search for Sero, I guess?
Go cross countries, even.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't a single moment. I think there was almost 6 months kind of leading up to bouncing ideas around and bouncing thoughts around. After I lost my dad to suicide, just a few days later, I said to Tracy, like, I want to do a personal photography project about suicide. And for a long time, I kind of tumbled this thought around in my brain of like, well, what can I do for a photo project about suicide? Because like I can't really photograph suicide. Like, what do I do? And then when Tracy's aunt also passed away from suicide, everything kind of came back, and it pushed me to think even deeper about how to do this photo project. And as the winter came in, I think both Tracy and I were still grieving. We were still down quite a bit. I was having a hard time getting myself motivated to go out and ski and snowshoe and do the things I'd normally do in the winter. And it wasn't until a trip out to BC, my friend invited us out for a few weeks of skiing, where I got on my skis and I felt like myself. I felt like I was kind of before Dad passed away. And I got back to Ottawa and said to Tracy, like, man, I don't know what it is, but it just feels so good when I ski. And Tracy started kind of digging into that. She's a bit of a research nerd. So Google came up, and she made the connection to green exercise and to serotonin. And I actually had no clue what serotonin was at the time. And so I asked Tracy to explain serotonin to me. And that was kind of the moment after almost 6 months of struggling with this thought of what's a photo project around suicide is, I'm looking at it from the wrong side of things. I think I was down myself. And so when you're down, you tend to look at the darker or the negative side of things. And when Tracy explained serotonin to me, I was like, that's it. We need to look more at mental wellness than mental illness. And that was the big turning point right there. And it just seemed like the best way to spread our message was to spread it as far as we could. So we got the van, and it just kind of grew from there.
So, I mean, we could relate to that a lot, because through Adam's illness and wellness in his life and my own mental illness, I think Adam has found running and triathlon and endurance running as a way to totally deal with that and leave a lot of it behind, like leave it all on the road, so to speak. But then also, be in nature and build up that serotonin level and have that happiness. And for me, that comes from running, depending on where I am in my life, but a lot of yoga as well. But the idea of, Tracy leaving a 9 to 5 and, getting in a van, and what struggles did you overcome when you released yourself from 4 walls of your apartment or your house?
Struggles, that's a good question. I mean, it's funny because it's not like we dropped everything and left. It was from the moment we decided to go on with the project, it was a full year of planning. A full year from the moment we decided to do it, to purchase the van, do all the repairs. John had to work a lot on it to make sure it was roadworthy and it was good to go. We wanted to make sure also to be ready in terms of project, to have a good proof of concept, to have something solid behind us, to be able to spread that message and to have some kind of purpose. It was important to us that the project had meaning. So really the struggles we faced was mostly around making sure that everything was in place so that when we left, we had something going on. And it kind of worked out, because the day we hit the road last year, it's almost a year ago from like today yeah. Or close to that anyway. The first week we were able to produce our first Sero story, and from that moment we produced 1 Sero story a week, and that was the goal we had set for ourselves. Even if it wasn't always easy, we wanted to make sure that we had this content available, because that's what we had been telling everyone. We're going to have stories for you regularly. We're going to, like keep you motivated and keep you, happy and make you want to go out. And so that was really important to us. So that was a lot of efforts to start with. But really making the decision was actually the easy part. It was so obvious that it needed to be done. And also every time we told people around us, families, friends, coworkers, about our idea and our project, it made sense to everyone. It's just people, even if it's not something they talk about, they understand it. They understand the importance it has on people's life, and they understand the importance of taking care of your mental wellness, even if it's not something we actually talk about regularly. We often make the analogy that, when you go to the doctor is going to tell you, you have to watch what you eat. You have to, make sure that you have a balanced diet, your cholesterol level, don't eat too much sugar, do this, do that. But really, he says that because of your physical health, and he gives you like prevention tips for your physical health. Doctors don't tell you often that, all these things, and also exercising is crucial for your mental wellness. And even if your body is in like a 100% physical shape, if your mind doesn't follow suit, you're useless.
Yeah. I think that to build on the struggles of getting the project going and getting it on the road as well, there was never a single point in time where Tracy and I looked at the potential big picture struggle of trying to do this, because I think if we did it, we wouldn't have done it. It would have seemed impossible. But it was just kind of, we took one step at a time. We very logically worked out everything that needed to happen, from the seed being planted to us getting on the road and beyond. And we took on each challenge one step at a time. And I think anyone that's been involved in a big project or has had a big goal that they've worked on, that's really the only way to do it. Because if you look at the big picture, it's overwhelming, it's demotivating, and it's almost impossible seeming.
Well, we're very glad that you didn't look at the big picture then, and that, you worked out all the fine details one at a time and got on the road. What feedback have you gotten from others about their lives being enriched or changed?
It's the amount of emails and messages we receive from fans and followers is unbelievable, and it actually keeps us motivated. It's just it's so good to know that what you're doing is influencing people, just like going out and running that extra distance today. I don't know, I have a million emails going through my head, but just everything from people that are struggling from mental illness, from depression, anxiety, saying, hey, I read one of your Sero stories and I thought I was the only one in that situation, or I thought I was the only person in the world like that. And it was so good to know that somebody else has been there and somebody else has made it out the other side. And that's given me hope, to as simple as, hey, thanks for writing that story, or thanks for doing this project, because it got me motivated to get on my bike and go for a ride. And now I feel better.
So here's what I think. I think that society has it all backwards. I think that we celebrate mental health. We create this mental health awareness week twice a year, maybe once a year in some cities. And I think what you're doing, creating awareness around mental wellness every single day of the 2 years that you're doing this, or plus, because we don't know how long this is going to go on for. It could go on for a lot longer. Yeah. I think that your project that you've taken on is definitely going to be very impactful on society and should be followed by everybody. You should get much more awareness out there, and obviously we're going to help you with that. But the difference that you're going to make through this project, I don't think it can really be measured. You're helping people that won't even come forward and tell you that you're being helped. And that's the beauty of this. Somebody out there is going to see the story, see one of your Sero stories, and it's going to make a difference in that person's life. So instead of making mental health awareness once every 6 months, by doing a mental wellness every single day like you're doing, I think you're doing society a huge service.
Yeah. So many people asked us that at the beginning of your project, well, like, what's your final goal? with the project, and I would say, well, we want to create this photo book and donate the sales of it to charities working in suicide prevention, charities to get people suffering from mental illness into the outdoor adventure or into outdoor adventure. But on a more personal level, it was just like, if with this project, if I can help save someone's life from suicide, that's my goal. Just one life. It's something that no one should have to live through, having a friend or a family member die of suicide. And if just one less person can die that way, that's the goal of the project for me. And hopefully we can impact more than one person, but just one, I would be happy. That's an accomplishment to me.
And I'm sure you've already done that for one person out there at least. Now, these Sero stories, how does somebody become a Sero story? How are there criteria? How do you find them? How does that work?
It's not really a criteria per se. So as we've mentioned earlier, but we didn't go into great detail, we've been living in our van in our Westfalia for almost a year now with a little break. But being on the road and going across Canada, we stop in communities and we meet people. And through that, we look for someone that's some kind of positive influence in the community in terms of being active. We ask around, we tell people about our project, and we say, is there anyone in this community that you think of that's always, happy to get out or happy to take others out or want to share their passion, or you see them always on the trails with a big smile on their face and it's contagious. And we kind of try to meet these people and see what their story is. And it's really just mostly about us falling in love with these people. And once that happens, then when we know we have a story to share. And what's been really, really interesting that we hadn't planned for, but it kind of happened naturally, is that we ended up covering stories of somehow very different people. Because every time we met someone with a different kind of story, we'd be like, oh, let's do this guy. We've never actually covered a retired person that started biking at 60 years old and now is in love with it, Or we've never covered, like a professional slackliner that, it could really be anything. But as long as there's a new twist so that we can reach out to different people and make people understand that it's not, there's not one recipe to happiness. There's not one recipe to being active, exercising. We all have this, maybe like we remember in high school when we were in phys ed and hated it because the classes they were teaching we didn't like. So we thought we didn't like sport, but really it's so broad and there's so many options for everyone that you can actually find something out there that's going to make you happy. And you have to try.
Yeah, I mean, the base criteria for our Sero stories is somebody that does some form of outdoor adventure and seems to have a smile on their face when they do it. And that when we pull into these communities with the van, 99% of the time people are coming to us and saying, hey, what's Sero? What's this all about? And we explain the project, and most of the time they're going to say, oh, you need to meet Billy, or you need to go talk to Sarah. And once the name comes up 3 times, it's kind of a little bell to us that, like, well, obviously this person in this community is perceived to be very happy. Let's go meet them and find out why, and like what makes them so happy, why they're so happy, and a bit about their background story. And what's been so cool about the project is just that variety of stories we've gotten, that one of the stories you're going to read and you're going to relate to. It might not be every story, and we might not have got a story written yet that you're going to relate to, but that's the goal, is that eventually in one of these stories you kind of see yourself, and that helps motivate you.
So talk to this suburb girl for a minute about living in a van. I grew up in a house. I live in a house. A van's not a lot of space. So how did you design the van to accommodate, living in there for 2 years?
Well, if any of you has ever seen or been in a Westfalia, you're going to understand that although it's fairly small, it's very well organized. So that's like one of the really perk of that van is everything is thought to have its little place and fit in its little place.
Those German engineers.
Yeah, they did something right. So in terms of space, yes, it's small to be in, but you have to realize that most of the time we're trying to be outdoors. It really only sucks when we have like a few days in a row of bad weather, and then you're kind of confined to your van or to coffee shops, and it gets a little long. But at the same time, we're mobile, so we can escape bad weather if sometimes.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool living in a small space, whether it's a van or a small home. I think the biggest thing that's impacted me is when we're at a store, we're thinking about buying some kind of item. All of a sudden, that thought of like, oh well, do I really want to buy this football or this new pair of shoes or whatever it is? Because I don't really have space in the van for it. And I think that's almost the biggest take home for me out of living in that small space is you really think about the importance of each purchase you make. And it's huge because I think if you live in a big house and you have all this space to store stuff, a lot of people just consume. And there's no thought of, well, do I really, really need this? Do I really, really want this? And that's the biggest difference, I think, to me, living in the van or living in a big house is just that consumerism aspect.
It's forced minimalism.
Oh, it is.
It definitely is.
But in a good way.
Yeah, and we're definitely feeling minimalism even in a house where we've been working really hard since February just to get rid of things and really, balance. Do we need this? Is this adding pleasure to our life? Or is it just something else to dust? You know what I mean? And we find with everything that we get rid of, there's a lighter sense. There's, a bigger smile. There's room for more, but not necessarily tangible.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's been the same for us going through the process of getting rid of a lot of things before we had to leave. I had a condo with a lot of things. Some of them I loved. Some of them I thought I did. But going through that mental exercise was really really good, really useful, and I'm happy I did it. And as for being in the van and not having much, I really don't often feel like I would love to have more. And it's usually very passing feelings, like I would really feel right now to like reading a good novel, and I don't have one, and I could go buy one, and you have options, but maybe I'd have some if I was home. I'd have some in my library. But then 5 minutes later, I find something else to do, and I just do it, and it's fine. Like, it's gone. So it's not like it's anything permanent that I really feel for. And like it's fully stocked with like a kitchen. We have like 2 burners to cook. We have pots and pans. We have things that we actually need, and we have enough. We were lucky enough that we set up the van to be able to carry a lot of our outdoor gear, so we're able to go mountain biking, stand-up paddling, surfing, camping, hiking. Last year we had our skis with us. Like, we were pretty lucky.
Yeah.
You have all that hanging off the back of the truck, right?
Pretty
much, yeah. We talk about not having much, but we have a few toys in or on or somehow attached to the van.
Yeah.
So, when we talk about necessities, you need gasoline, you need food, you need money. How are you funding this?
So, I guess 3 main ways. We have had a group of incredible sponsors get on board and help with funding, including Cavu, Arterix, Hunt Club, Volkswagen. They've been great to help out. And we also did a crowdfunding campaign in November 2015. We raised just over $13,000, which was absolutely unbelievable. I set this like $10,000 goal, thinking that there was no way we would ever make that goal, but it happened. It happened on the very, very last day of the 30-day campaign. a bunch of our friends had to wait it out to make sure you're stressed to the max before making the goal. But
Drama.
yeah, exactly. But we got there, so that was huge, and that I think making the goal in that crowdfunding campaign kind of justified, or maybe justify is not the right word, but it helped us know that, like, hey, what we're doing is hopefully of value to people since they've donated $13,000. Like that's a lot of coin.
Makes you show up to work every day too, right?
Yeah, exactly. And there's a pretty big obligation to
Delivery.
those people that crowdfunded the project to deliver those Sero stories once a week. And then of course we've self-funded it too. Both Trace and I have pretty much put our life savings and then some into the project just to make it happen. And it's a personal project for us. We're not out to profit. We're not out to make big money. We're not out to rip anyone off. We just want to do this project, for us and for others that are motivated to get outside after seeing what we're doing.
So we normally ask this at the end, but I'll ask right now because it's relevant. But if somebody wanted to donate to you right now, what would they do today to donate?
Wow, we still need to get that figured out. We don't actually have a donation stream opened at the moment. I felt after the crowdfunding campaign and after getting the $13,000 that I didn't want to ask for more. I didn't want to be that person that was always like, give me. In a way, living in a van and touring around and writing stories and taking photographs, a bit of a dream life. And I didn't want to take more money from other people to make the project happen. And that's one of the reasons why we stopped and worked ourselves. And so we're asked now, anyone that does want to donate to the project, that they kind of save that little stash of money for when we have the photo book ready, which will hopefully be November 2018. And at that time, we'll do a second crowdfunding campaign for the photo book and sales of that. And the money from the proceeds will go to charities working in suicide prevention and not our pockets. And that's kind of what we're asking for now.
That's great. I'm sure that people will definitely put that on their list. I know that we'll put that on our list and we'll definitely be in for a book. You can count us in.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful.
We're up to 3 now. Trace's mom, my mom, and you guys.
I'm sure you'll have much more than 3. I'm sure you'll have much more than 3. Have any of you experienced mental health in a way that this is actually helping you? Have you had experience with mental illness as well that you would want to talk about today?
For me personally, I've never had anything diagnosed, but I think everybody in life has ups and downs, which is all part of mental wellness. And obviously after losing my father, that was a pretty big blow for me. And like I said, the whole idea from the project came from being out skiing and feeling good after a time of being down. And yeah, I think it's hard for anyone to say, or I don't think anyone should say like, oh no, I've never dealt with any kind of mental illness, because we all have ups and downs in lives. And I think that's the stories that have the most impact are the stories of people that we've done that do have that up and down, that got into mountain biking because they were stressed at work or they got into yoga. I think it's just natural for humans in life to have those up and down moments, and that's one of the things we're trying to get across in the project, is that it's okay if you have those down moments. You can talk to people, you can get out, and you can work your way through it and try to feel better. And we're definitely not trying to say that if you are struggling from depression or anxiety or any kind of mental illness that getting on a bike is going to cure you. We definitely don't want to say that, because that's not it. There's if you are down and you need to go seek professional attention, that's something that needs to happen. And hopefully our project will kind of give a lighter way into going about that help as well if somebody does need to go seek professional help.
I think the important part is, even if you have had lasting and diagnosed and severe mental health or mental illnesses in your lives, everything that you can do to help yourself is important. And that, like seeking professional help, seeing a therapist, taking medication is possibly required in some cases. But, eating well and sleeping well and exercising and doing these little daily things that are important to feel better, you need to take that into consideration. And if you are able to make sure that these things are part of your daily habits, well, whether or not you have mental illnesses, you are a better place. You're in a better position to face struggles when they arrive in your life. Because one thing is sure is they are going to arrive. People are going to face like stresses and can you hear my cat?
Yeah, I was just asking Adam if that was our cat.
No, she's so chatty. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But yes, like regardless of your mental state, it is crucial that you add to your life positive habits that will help you in the long run. And I have personally had struggles that were, thank God, not extremely intense or lasting, but I've always found that being able to have an outlet physically was very helpful in making sure, or in helping that this mental state I was in did not last very long. So we've always, a lot of us have had the feeling of, having had a rough day, whether it's at work or at home, and debating whether you should be going for a run or a bike ride or whatever it is that you do that you love. But because you're so tired and stressed and exhausted sometimes mentally from whatever happened to you that day, you decide not to go, or almost decide not to go. And there's that day where you decide to go and you come back after. And even if you didn't have a great time, you still feel better. And that does say a lot.
Yeah, I think it's almost everyone in this world now is definitely affected by stress. We live in a fast-paced world. It's high energy and it wears us down, and you lose that energy and it's hard to get outside and do what you love, because it takes energy to get out and ride your bike or go on a hike, but it also energizes you and recharges you. So it's just so important for everyone to find their thing, to find their passion, to have their way of recharging and energizing.
Absolutely. I kind of look at it as an axle intersecting, and there's mental health and there's mental wellness. And, mental illness and mental wellness go together. And whether you're experiencing mental illness, you could still have good days or bad days. And whether you're on a spectrum of mental health, we all have good days and bad days too. So I know even when I was experiencing, the big bouts of my PTSD and my depression and my anxiety, there were some good moments in there too. I was able to smile. I was able to laugh from time to time. But now, having struggled with mental illness, I'm thriving with mental illness, and I still have, good days, bad days, but I very rarely, go below that intersection anymore. And community, like we talked about nutrition, we talked about exercise, community plays a really big part too. And what I'm going to encourage everybody out there to do, because I think we all know somebody, whether it's mental health or mental wellness, we all know somebody who's kind of been down lately. And I really encourage them to share this podcast with them so that A, they know that there's a community of people out there just like them. B, so that they could find some kind of inspiration through your Sero stories and your commitment to suicide prevention and your commitment to what you're doing. And I just think that the more people that know about this, the more people that can follow you, that can support you, that can be there to buy a book, but that can help somebody else to come up from the trenches and really find something that stimulates them and stimulates that serotonin in them is really invaluable. So I hope that everybody does that today.
Yeah, and I think a big thing for us is we focus so much on getting serotonin from outdoor adventure, but there's so much more than that. It's finding your thing, and outdoor adventure might not be for everyone, but it could be gardening, it could be sewing, it could be knitting, it could be music. There's so much, and for Tracy and I, outdoor adventure is what works, and that's what our project is focused on. But it doesn't need to be that. It can be anything that puts your mind at ease and gets you out in the green and in the fresh air.
Just try taking off your shoes, walking out your front door, and standing on the grass next to a tree. Maybe put your hand on a tree and just start there. If outdoors isn't your thing, just start to feel the energy of real world.
Yeah,
exactly.
John, I love that you added that, because we're all individuals. We're all so different, and so many people in our world are suffering or dealing with mental health, mental illness, mental wellness. For people to really get themselves on a better track, they need a project like yours, or they need a community where they could find support. And what you guys are doing, I said it before, is really amazing. Thank you for doing it. And for anybody listening who wants to reach out to you or find out more about the story, follow a map of where your van's going or where it's going to be so they can catch up with you, where's the best place or places for them to find you?
We're on our website, searchingforsero.com, as well as Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We check all of them pretty regularly, so it's whatever that person is most comfortable reaching out on is fine, whether it's a direct message on Instagram or an email or sending us a message through our contact form or message on Facebook. It all works.
So we're going to link to that on our show notes at planttrainers.com. So anybody who didn't catch that can just do a quick link through there. And we'd like to thank you both so much for your efforts with the whole project, and especially for taking out time in your busy lives to spend some time with us today and help enrich our listeners.
Thanks to you guys for having us and for helping making the conversation easier. It's great.
Yeah, it was fun to chat with you guys. Hopefully we can meet up in our van sometime.
Pull your van into the driveway. We'll feed you a nice hot meal. Is that allowed?
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. We even have a spare bedroom if you guys need it.
Well, that's cheating.
Okay. Or a shower, maybe. All right. Take care, guys. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Thank
you.
Thank you so much for listening to this edition of the Plant Trainers Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or any other podcast listening platforms. We appreciate the feedback we receive from you. Every time we get a 5-star rating or review on iTunes from one of our fans, it ensures other people will find us too. Thanks to our patrons. To become a patron, visit www.patreon.com/planttrainers. Even supporting us with $1 really makes a difference. Connect and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Plant Trainers. Like Plant Trainers on Facebook, join our newsletter, and check out our website at www.planttrainers.com for awesome plant-based recipes and a list of our services. Email your questions to info@planttrainers.com so we can answer them on our upcoming Facebook Lives. We hope we've inspired you today. Join us again next time, and have a healthy day.